Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me. One more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Strategic management plan.
Yeah, that's what he's here for.
Okay.
Go.
All right, it's Thursday, December 4th, 2025, and we're going to call to order this meeting of the Tree Advisory Committee. The time is 4:07. First thing to do is to, thank you, approve the minutes from last time.
Okay, I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Everyone voting to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
No.
Minutes are approved. Next thing, I don't see anybody here to no public appearances for non-agenda items, so we'll move on. Now to review the agenda for today, to see if we want to approve that. Let's see, I don't know, can you pull that up, Ann?
Yeah. It's there.
Okay. Oh, yes, Urban Forest Strategic Management Plan.
Did we review do we
Yeah.
need a motion on the agenda?
Yes, we do. I'm just noting what's on there and report from department. Anyone want to move to approve the agenda for today?
I move to approve it. I'll second.
Everyone voting to approve the agenda for today, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we have approved today's agenda. And the first item on the agenda is the Urban Forest Strategic Management Plan update.
All right, and I think Rich is going to lead us through that, so we can just turn it over to him unless anyone else has a comment to start off with. All right, take it away, Rich.
Awesome. Is it possible for me to share a screen?
Yes, if this goes away, that's no problem. So if I need to stop sharing, I can do that. So why don't I stop sharing quick? So I stop my share so you can do
All
yours.
right. You're good. And action. Well, wonderful. Hey, thanks for everyone joining and venturing out on a cooler December day. Not sure what the temperature was in Madison. I think we hit like -7 in Stevens Point, which it's normal, and our chickens survived the winter last night, so all's good. I guess I've got two things today. One is we're pretty close to having a draft plan. I would say close by tomorrow morning or so. I'll have a draft plan to disseminate. And I guess my question for you is, on the January meeting, is that something that we could formally address? And
Yes.
And I was talking with Anna about this. Yeah, about could we also, next week, put this out for public comment and review on City of Fitchburg website?
I think we can. I just need to
Okay.
talk to our communications people. I don't see why that would be a big issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be beneficial. And also the other item today is, and I'm not sure, Anna, if you were able to print off a copy, and I'll show them, but just the 16 strategic items that we came up with under 5 goals.
I've got a copy.
That's fine. I was Johnny laid on the spot to get those to Anna today, and I wasn't expecting that, because I'll just show it. But if you had one in front of you, that's awesome. If not, we'll just go on the screen, because I'm just kind of curious of your show you before we release this the goals that we came up with. And how do we develop these? A lot of different ways. One was certainly the community outreach mechanisms, the public survey, which was very well, how do I say, I was going to say attended, very good response rate. I was pleased with about 350 plus respondents. And then also with public meetings that we had, certainly meeting with you as the tree advisory committee on several occasions, along with meeting with Anna, along with reviewing existing city documents. And that was an important part of this whole plan. Rather than developing plans in isolation, we used and followed the city comprehensive plan, their approach for the policy framework, which it's in particular, it's a goal, then objective, and then a policy statement. And then we also used the Parks 2025, 2030 plan, and to develop our strategic time frame. And we used 4 different categories, which I'll show here in a second. Time frame of 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5, greater than 5 years, and then ongoing. And then we use that to rate each of these 16, objectives. And so any questions so far?
I just want to say thank you very much for reviewing that park and open space plan. I think it was really important that we kind of integrate our plan in with that one, since that just got passed, last year, and there was a lot of work that went into that. It makes sense that we kind of are working in concert, and I think how I put it is vertically integrated or something like that. So we're working together. So thank you for doing that.
Very much so. No, thank you. Actually, that was one of the things when I looked at, boy, it seems like yesterday, but back in March, a response to this RFP was actually the integration of existing plans. It's just going back to my early career days. I was doing consulting for the military, and as a young mid 20-year-old kid, I remember the military folks would often say, "Is this going to be another plan that sits on the shelf?"
Right.
And it kind of struck me. It's like, why would you let it sit on the shelf and not use it? And it was another plan that didn't integrate with really their operations was the issue. So really good on that perspective. So we're coming along, fun table of contents. It's about a 70 page document right now. Just standard things like, introducing the topical area. One thing I do that you'll see is, rather than having with initial draft, having figure 1, figure 2, I'll just used words such as, an example, a species distribution. This is the first figure I actually have. Later on, it's going to be figure 1, but maybe through a comment, we have, hey, could you address this and a figure makes sense? That earlier on, it's easier for later on not to have typos. I'm sure some of you on this meeting here today have had that experience where you work with documents and just the control of table 1, table 2, and you do massive edits. So that's just a little style I use, but later on, these figures will be changed to figure 1, figure 2, but for the draft purpose, that's what I'm going to leave. Any concern with that?
I think
I could change it. Okay.
No, that's good. And right. And you know what it is, it's not legal.
Yeah. No, and it'll be up here in the text where I make reference to figure species distribution for this particular graph. Now I think I've already shared with you the taxon or the tree inventory assessment that we did previous meeting, and just to summarize again, go ahead, Anna.
I can't remember when it was shared, but yes, I think you're right, Mike. I think it was at the public session, yes. Maybe not to this group specifically, but
Yeah.
at the public open house situation. Thank you. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure when that
Yeah.
happened.
You have an awesome, actually kind of a model tree inventory for the diversity of species. You've got nearly 130, you probably have 130 species now, but you had 129 as of last June. But throughout the United States work I've done, Fitchburg is actually on the one of the highest ends of having a very diverse urban forest. So that's just hats off to all that you all have done. And then the tree canopy assessment you've seen before. And the other thing that's pretty nice is your population is growing up with canopy. And I suspect between 2013 and now, you had about a 0.5% increase, which is pretty nice because you have a goal of 30% by 2050, which I think is really doable. If I was just comparing 2018 to 2024, you would probably not make your goal. And I think the blip right here is emerald ash borer.
Yeah.
Yeah, in particular where your canopy was going up, it was still growing, but it didn't grow as fast because you had canopy being lost due to that insect.
Yes.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what your assessment will be 6 years from now.
Yeah.
And here's just a pretty map of showing spatially canopy in Fitchburg. All right, we reviewed your current code, and you've got a very succinct tree code, but it's also very doable. I'm pretty impressed with the code that you've developed, not only for just general City of Fitchburg operations, for a position like Anna's to give the governance, to give direction and what they can do. Also with the tree preservation ordinance, there are a few things that noticed that are recommendations that if they're not changed, it's not going to affect you. But if you're able to update the code and make some minor changes, great. As you all know, whenever you open up an ordinance, it can be a can of worms, to use that expression, of sometimes unintended consequences. But anyways, with review, it's just documented here of some of the suggested changes. Again, nothing minor, it's just some minor typographical things and a few others. The SWOT assessment, one of the cool things for the strengths of your program is the people. The people in the field work, along with the people like Anna that are doing the managing. And as you all probably know, it fits in with the strength of people. What you get done for your staff number of FTE, and we came up with about 3 FTE you have. Frankly, you should be at about the 5, closer to 6 FTE, making comparisons with your tree population and communities. So in this plan, we have benchmark assessment, the Midwest, along with national statistics with your population group in the 25 to just under 50K people. But yeah, it came out with the SWOT assessment. Also, one of the weaknesses is I was told you have 2 FTE less than you probably need. And actually that was the same outcome came up with the benchmarking. Now, having said you have a deficiency in getting funding are 2 different things. But yeah, certainly I'm impressed with all the work you get done with the staff that you have. And it came out just, the passion that people have for doing the work. They love what they're doing, which is pretty cool. And then, opportunities and some threats. I'm not going to go into details. But what I really want to get into, I've shared the community engagement information, not only public meeting, in the report as one of the appendixes, Appendix D, have the results. I go into some detail on some of the high notes. But what I really want to get into is the strategic, and this is just the benchmarking I was talking about. For example, right here, staffing level, you should be at maybe about 5.3, and this really should be actually 3 rather than 4. 3 FT with 6 staff, 1 city forester, and the combination of about, when you look at the hours of people that get allocated when time rises, it's about 2 FT. All right. So, and can you see this okay on your screen?
so.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a big
Yeah, so
screen.
here's it's 4:21 today. I think with the due diligence for time, I'm going to first address the 5 goals, and then we could address the objectives. And do we have about 20 minutes maybe for this?
Sure, I mean, yeah, we can, yeah, we have this room till
Okay.
6, so I don't think we need that much time, but.
Oh, cool. I mean, I could go professor mode. I could go till 10 o'clock tonight if you wanted, but I think we have other things. The first goal was, and again, how did we create these goals? It was myself and Anna actually brainstorming about a month ago of formulating a bunch of just ideas. And then I fit these under goals. So we came up with kind of what were more maybe objectives. But like goal 1, enhance the city's urban forest by developing evaluation metrics to evaluate progress towards meeting urban forest goals. And as I just briefly showed the benchmarking earlier, that certainly is an indicator. Another indicator could be like tree diversity and looking at that on a regular basis. But objective, okay, so that's first goal, enhance the city's urban forest by developing evaluation metrics to evaluate progress towards meeting goals. You know, with anything, whether it's a business or an urban forestry operation, setting goals and then periodically assessing these is vital. And then goal 2, integrate industry standards into the planting, establishment, and maintenance of the city's urban forest. And that was one of the outcomes of the SWOT assessment is passionate people doing a lot of great work, but there's not documentation necessarily of actually how to go about doing it. And one of the interesting parts of the SWOT assessment was the concern of there's a lot of institutional knowledge, but some of this institutional knowledge is on the verge of retiring.
Yes.
And so then not only having like a legacy plan, but having documentation of how to go about doing work. And this isn't not a heavy lift, but it's an important thing. And then a third goal, develop and implement a woodlot management policy for the city's approximately 300 acres of woodlands. Now, for me, what I always find fascinating is when you get the opportunity to look at, plans and ideas and governance policies, et cetera, that when I took a deep dive into some of your woodlot plans, especially a plan that was done for McGaw Woods about a decade ago, that lays out very well an idea. And along with past city council governance saying, yes, let's implement some of these things. I think you're really at a point right now to make a decision. What do you want to do for woodlot management? Status quo, let forests go in the direction they want to go, given, whatever disturbance mechanisms and other things are at play, or take active management. And one of the outcomes found from the community survey was that people are very receptive to active management. And what do I mean by that? Where you deliberately go in, make an assessment of are these plants that are desirable versus ones that you may consider undesirable. And we'll just use invasive species as an example. And if you find buckthorns something that's objectionable, the vast majority of people were supportive of the city of Fitchburg going ahead and implementing policy such as in this case something about woodlots and woodlands. And then goal number 3, let me see, where'd they all go? Oh, goal number 4, implement the urban forestry outcomes into existing city and infrastructure goals. And what this means is you may have something about stormwater management. And the urban forest is part of that. So doing an urban forest ecosystem services study. And one example is there's a program iTree. And I mentioned to Anna yesterday, maybe it could have been Monday, I forget the actual day, is this is just something we're going to do for you. It wasn't in our RFP response. We've got the data set up that it should not be a heavy lift, probably a couple hours of staff time to do an iTree assessment report. So they'll give you an idea of the ecosystem benefits of your public tree population. And then the 5th goal, encourage and promote active community involvement in urban forestry planning and management. What does this mean? Well, yourself are all part of this important part. As a tree care advisory committee, you're very active. I've actually been really impressed with your passion and doing great things for your community. So that's certainly beyond just your TAC. It's really volunteerism, and you do have people that are interested and that are active. I think the community survey from memory, Anna had put in that you have about 25 people, and they volunteer about 500 hours a year. I imagine the Tree Care Advisory Committee is part of that. But really, the challenge you have is you probably have more people than that are interested. It's just staff time to coordinate and harness people in a community for the greater good. And perhaps you're well aware of this, but people like to volunteer. They like to volunteer for about 1 day of a year for any topical area because people are busy. But there's a lot of people that want to volunteer, on average about 8 hours a day out of an annual basis. But what we know in urban forestry is people don't show up unless you give them a reason. And so actually having staff that can, promote activities and really leverage not only, the community support for urban forestry, but also, healthy activity for themselves. So 5 goals so far. Any questions? Open it up. So the first, goal, it's really developing things to assess your program against. The second one was using industry standards. The third one was, making a decision on woodlot management. The fourth was linking urban forestry with existing urban forest or existing city environmental outcomes. And then the fifth was encouraging active participation through volunteerism. Is there a goal you could think of that's missing here? I'm putting you all on the spot, kind of like that day when I said, hey, do you got a vision for your program?
Move it down a little bit, maybe you can see a little more.
Larger or?
No, just move it down so you can see the top goals again.
Okay, I wonder if I could do this. I'm on the fly. I'm going to take these 5 goals and put them onto one sheet. Okay. Sound good?
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Let me see how quick I can work on this. 30 seconds or less. Go ahead.
Maybe we could just look at one goal at a time and see what questions people might have.
Okay, let's do that then. All right.
Less pressure.
So the first goal, and then there's underneath this, there's 4 objectives that we have. One is it's the staffing requirements that I talked about is frankly for the work that's identified and also relative to peers, you're understaffed by about 2 FTE. The second one is, and these are color coded. So the green is that 1 to 3, goldenrod is 3 to 5. Salmon, I'd call it, is 5 years or more, and then blue is it's ongoing. And so the staffing one, that's a short-term goal.
Well, some of these
the other
go
one is
go hand in hand too. Like if you want more volunteers, that takes more staff time to do that. Anna already spends a lot of time on organizing volunteers, which has a big bang for the buck, but there's just limited time with one forester. So
yeah, I mean my recommendation.
Could you provide any context? I'm curious, like who we benchmarked against, or if we say we're understaffed, what is that compared to?
Sure. So I'm in the process of updating this, but I am. If you Google my last name, Howard Muni 2014, this is the benchmark of municipalities across the United States. There's a sample of about 660 plus communities. And so as part of it is a population group. So US Census breaking them into these groups of 2,500 of, under 5K. So comparing to this population group, along with the Midwest geographical region. And in the report, mostly it's within the population group at a national level. But when it's times, we also have Midwest statistics. We also have those as a benchmark in the report right now. That so does that help?
It does, especially if this one. I didn't write it down, but if we could get this sent over, or I know you just Googled it, so it should be pretty easy to find.
Yeah,
And if
it'll
we
be in
can
the
get that
references.
in the minutes.
Yep, it'll be in the references
So I can send it to you.
of the plan where you can get easy access. But I could send this to you right now if you'd like.
Yeah, well.
I'm just thinking if we're going to be arguing to expand staffing in any way, if the objective is to expand staffing, having more data to back up why we feel that's necessary, I think will be helpful.
Yeah, and in particular from that report that was pulled in one of these tables, it'd be table, this one right here. So in particular, nope, this is budget. So you're also, by the way, on a budgetary perspective, you're about 25% of your comparable national mean. So.
What? Can you say that again? Explain that.
Yeah, so from a budget perspective, what came up with the numbers presented to me, here's your current allocation for 2 FTE, along with honest position, plus you allocate about 21,000 a year for just that are identified in your fiscal budget. But your comparison is almost $500,000. And I think in this case, you're about a third from a budgetary perspective and this is just a national mean for your population group. Yeah, and then other statistics, if you look at amount spent per public tree, and these numbers from 2014 I've adjusted for inflation. Between 2014 and now, it's about 1.4 is just the increase of prices from a consumer price index perspective. This is what you're spending right now. So you're about 25% on just allocation on a per tree basis. So again, these are just benchmarks. Now, if you're an economist, you could say, boy, if I'm spending $12 and getting the same amount of work done, awesome. But what I've discovered from, just, the SWOT assessments and, other details is you're doing a lot of reactionary work. Anna identified about 90%, and I had a conversation with her, and I'm comfortable with that number. Because, for example, your street tree pruning, it's really a clearance pruning program, which is fine. That's important for public safety. But what you'd get with extra staff that are dedicated to urban forestry is really the structural pruning. The work you did today that pays dividends 20, 30, 40 years down the road of trees that have less structural issues and potentially failing during storms.
And that's mostly in like 3 to 6 year range, is it? Structural pruning?
Correct, yeah.
Right, and I think that
exactly.
As a committee, we've been concerned about that for a long time, that we have no plans for newly planted trees to get well established.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Can you stay here for a second? So are all of these numbers 2014 numbers that are then adjusted for inflation? So
correct.
Okay. I know there's no study out there. I am skeptical that as municipalities have been under budget constraints, that they have adjusted their forestry budgets along with inflation as they go forward. Like, I see that as something that would likely be getting cut as we have moved forward in municipalities. So I would wonder what the actual numbers, I'm guessing that maybe those numbers aren't, the mean is not actually 478,000.
It may not be. I may have within about 3 weeks. So we're in the process of updating this. And I've got about 800 respondents right now. I just haven't had time to actually pull all the data together to make that assessment. But I'm hoping, I'll tell you this, by the end of the year, I'll have all my data together that this question I should be able to resolve to go, okay, is consumer price index a good indicator? Have we gone up inflationarily wise, consistent with, from 2014? You make an awesome point, because that would be something I would say if I was, questioning a data point, it's like, yeah, it's 10 years ago. Is this still reflective today? Yes, I agree.
Yeah, just our city budget overall has not tracked inflation over the last 10 years. It has undershot inflation by quite a bit. One other question I have is, in other plans that we have, and maybe this exists, I don't know, we get a table sometimes that is really helpful for us on council, where basically you lay out the objectives and then we get like a column for capital cost, an operating cost, and staff effort. And then usually they just use like $1 to $3 signs in each column or something like that. And that is extremely helpful to say like, what of these objectives can be accomplished for, where can we get the best bang for the buck for these objectives? Like which ones are gonna be costly, which ones are not, which ones require a ton of staff time. And that's helpful as like a just overall kind of viewing how these things go.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I guess what you're getting at is your return on investment, where you get the best bang for your allocation of scarce resources. Yep.
Can I make a, can you go back where you just were?
Yep.
In your first benchmark, could you move the parenthetical to after operations? Just because it makes more sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. That was bugging me also, and I don't know why I didn't move that earlier.
And I had
Much better, isn't it?
another one at the beginning of goal 1, or whatever the first thing is. Benchmarks, no.
Oh, table or back to these?
There. Just take out evaluation metrics, because then you say evaluate, so you don't need it twice in goal 1. Just say developing metrics to evaluate.
Right on.
Okay, that's all bugging me, that was bugging me.
That's more succinct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So when you use those metrics, does that include the technology? Like the computer program?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, and I think a metric to me would be time to, you're pretty much in, when you do inventories, it's updated pretty regularly, but that could be a metric. Another one could be integration of technology. As just a simple yes, no. Your GIS person, Dakota, is awesome. He's created a work order system where work needs are put in there. Now it's just getting staff to, number one, become familiar with technology, and overcome some resistance from, we've always done it this way, which is paper-based right now.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder where we are as a city with the hardware and software to do those things.
Well, I can kind of speak to that. I don't want to hijack the presentation, but one thing that was really holding us back from a tree inventory update perspective was not having a handheld GPS, and we got one last summer. And for the first year, as I talk about my staff report, but for the first year, all the 2025 trees are in there. All the 2025 removals as of last Wednesday are in there. So because we have that piece of equipment, it's much easier for me to keep up to date with things. And I even started to go back, and I've corrected a lot of stuff from the past as well. So we're working on that. And I think we do have a tablet that got ordered for the Public Works guys, and they are using it. It's just a matter of getting familiar, and when they have questions, and that's fine. I mean, we've got this new, we have this ArcGIS system that the city pays for, so instead of getting a separate tree inventory software and a separate work order software, we're trying to make it all work together. So Dakota has worked through our GIS software that we're already paying for to do a work order system, and we're working through it and kind of, learning as we go and all kind of working through it. And I think it's going pretty decent so far. It took me a little bit to learn it, but I think I've got it down pretty well. And then I can tie that handheld, that GPS, into generating those work orders so they can get updated in real time, which is really nice, because one of our problems before was with the paper gets out of date. and if you have the wrong thing, you can't, there's no, and then paper floats around, and sometimes the wrong thing gets picked up. So even if you send a different paper that's correct, the old paper is still out there. No, so anyway, long story longer, we're really working on that, and so far we've been able to get, there was a tablet in the budget that came through, I believe it got funded, and we had a tablet we bought last year, and we have that handheld GPS, so it's just a matter of, continuing to learn how to do it and maximize our existing system. So I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It sounds lots of progress. That's good.
Yeah, because one thing that other municipalities do, just to tag on, is that they get a separate software for their tree inventory, which is nice in some ways, but for us, like, if we want to, but then it gets out of date, it's not compatible with software or whatever, like, our GIS is constantly getting updated, and the tree inventory moves with that, because it's part of the whole system. And then the engineers can grab it, and it can be, part of everything else.
Integrating systems and policies, everything, is really important.
Yeah, it is. So we're really, I think, really working toward that. It's just a matter of getting everyone on the same page, which we're doing. Anyway, that was the long story longer. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would just add to that is, that'd be my first advice is, develop it in-house if you got the technical capabilities, and you do with Dakota. And as Anna pointed out, just the integration, it's almost seamless with that data set into any other, GIS data set you have in the city.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're on track. It's just that last little part is just integrating the data collection that goes real time into the GIS. Which actually fits right here, collect relevant data on taxonomy, et cetera, and maintenance in real time. Use your in-house GIS system as your policy statement. And why is it blue? It's because it's just ongoing. And then the third one is use an electronic system to issue work orders. I guess we just talked about that, and monitor completion. And, put that as, it's not been implemented yet, but I would say, I would suspect in 6 months from now, I think you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
And then,
that's a good time frame.
yeah, the fourth one is just review your mission vision statements. And what I don't have in the plan right now is I was gonna pull in your urban forestry along with your parks and your comprehensive vision, but really, if you're into governance, your vision, mission, they should be succinct, but they direct you where you're going. And if you're doing something that's outside the vision, either change it or stop doing it. So. Anything missing on this goal?
I don't think so.
And obviously you're going to get this. I'll share it as a PDF. I can share it as a Word document also. I'll do both. And then goal 2, integrate industry standards. And then create an operations plan, and then create a technical manual. Neither of these two are challenging. But really, it's incumbent upon a staff person. That reason suggested a 3 to 5 year time frame is it's really, just pulling the technical information together. And I mentioned to Anna that in one of the appendixes, I'll provide some details on this. And there's actually some really good operation manuals already out there that cities have developed. I'll share those. But just putting that so. A staff person, if they're unsure about something, you can direct them of this is how you do the activity, the tree care activity, and why you're doing it from a, let's say, tree biology perspective. And then the third one is develop the appropriate training, credential recommendations for staff. That was one of the outcomes of the SWOT, where the city is very receptive to training and educating and supporting credentials, which is a good thing. It's reluctant sometime on staff to actually take the next step of, let's say, getting certified as a ISA certified arborist, kind of the fear factor, what if I don't pass? But building that into, job descriptions and really a work plan. And I don't know if you have with your staff annually, they have a work plan of like employee improvement or development. If so, great. If not,
so. I don't think not to my knowledge.
Do you have with staff annual reviews?
We're supposed to.
Okay, doesn't surprise me. Sometimes the time finding it to do it is another matter. Yeah, I know I'm 6 months or 8 months behind on people that report to me, so I understand it very well. But yeah, building into just a plan of really as this technology changes, how to keep up with it. And one thing you do right now is your staff go to the Wisconsin Arborist Conference, which is an important part of continuing education. Yeah, here's the tricky one. I'm purview to some of the concerns of residents in the city on either go ahead and do stuff or otherwise not. But as I pointed out, as an external person, being part of this process over the last half year or so, and then really taking a deep dive of the processes you have in place right now. You don't have to go out and develop a woodlot management policy. I think you already have it there. You just have to make the decision from a governance perspective whether to go ahead and then give staff the authority to, or the direction to make it happen. So, and similar to the outcome of your 2015 survey is all about tree preservation during development, and he made a decision at that time to develop some code, and at the the plant level. Your code is spot on. I shared with Anna, there's just a few things in there that minor things to change is our technical standards are newer than that's in the the policy document from 2023. Those are easy fixes since it's not an ordinance, but at a minimum, it's up to Anna and others to make sure that developers are using the the most relevant science and BMPs, best management practices. All right.
Sorry, do we want something in here related to the kind of new requirements that Madison passed that we're going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. Their requirements involve so I've got them right here because I've been looking at them. So I can email this to everybody.
I assume this is going on the agenda for discussion at some point.
It should.
Next year.
Yeah, it should. I didn't want to overwhelm people and bring it up now because the thing is, what they do, and I'll email this to you guys. They for their tree preservation code, they made it a little bit tougher. They made the requirements tougher, and then the enforcement is if you don't do it, they'll yank your right-of-way permit. So, which is kind of a big deal. So, yes, and I think I've shared this with you before, but this is what their
What's a right-of-way permit?
Your ability to work in the street.
So it's like the requirements are around when development is happening and then preserving the existing trees that are in that development area. So like if there's a tree that needs like a buffer from like the sidewalk or the street or something like that, so they're required to provide certain amounts of buffers or things like that.
Isn't it referring to city trees though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's only city. Yes.
Yeah.
City trees.
Yes, it's
I was
private. So they just
yeah,
changed
I was actually
in October.
Good.
Or something like
Yeah,
that.
for a reason, the last couple months, yeah.
Oops. I always get your.
Well, I think the idea when they passed the preservation ordinance for, in regards to development was that we would build on that, in the future.
So I just sent it to everybody, so you should have it, but, or you should get it. But yeah, I mean, it's worth talking about for sure. And it was it took them a while to get it, get the momentum, but, and I apparently made a big difference. So, because in the past it was just like, oh, well, the tree's in the way, we're supposed to the perception was, hey, we'll kind of put the fence up, we won't really pay attention, if we get a fine, we get a fine, it's minimal compared to the big project, and now it's like, well, you can pay the fine and you can't work here anymore. So it's kind of a big deal. It undermines the whole project.
Yeah, and one of the biggest complaints we get, and again, this is city trees, we can't do anything, we can't prevent people from cutting down trees on private property, it's just, we can't. But one of the biggest complaints we get is when a development project happens and people us or call us and say like, they're clear cutting all the trees in this lot. And some of the times that is city trees if it's in a certain area or whatever, but like that would be at least something we could point to when we get those kind of calls and complaints.
And typically if there is a project that city trees are gonna be removed from, we can get some replacement or something, you know, for example, a lot gets developed, the trees are already in place and the driveway's changed from what was planned to what it ends up being, a tree's in the way, we can say, well, I guess we'll have to lose that tree for your driveway, however, we want you to put a new tree here, there, or wherever. I mean, like with the daycare that went up on Noble Drive, for example, they had to take out a few trees to put their driveway in, they put a few more trees in along Noble Drive. So we can kind of, you know, horse trade a little bit that way, but we don't have an ordinance that.
Yeah, if you have the ordinance in place, then you can negotiate
Right.
around it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't wanna get you off.
Yeah.
I just meant if there's something around ordinance design that we wanna throw in here, that's something we could look at.
So, and I
Yeah,
CC'd you in that email,
think-
so you'll get it.
Yeah, what I'm hearing, it's two different things. One is the public trees and the requirement not to damage them. And I guess that's what I'm hearing is if that occurs, just yanking the ability of a person to operate in that area is pretty strict.
And that's what Madison can do.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty amazing. I didn't know. I didn't even see that in your code. I didn't know about that.
It's
That's
good.
very effective.
I mean, they even have some code that impacts, well, certainly impacts the terrace trees and what the owners can and can't do once established in that lot as well. Yeah, can you give me an example about that? I know there's some specific to oak trees, but.
Yeah, so they have an oak will ordinance, so you can't, so even on private property, you're not supposed to trim oak trees between April 1st and October 1st, so they have an oak will ordinance. We don't have that ordinance. They also have elm ordinance, which is a little bit outdated at this point. And they do, I think, have more people to run around and look at what's going on, so they're able to actually like take pictures and say, hey, you're supposed to have a 5-foot buffer between the tree and the construction project, and it's only 2 feet, we need some mitigation here or whatever, so.
I keep thinking that you have all of that laid out on the website, so that they should be, I mean, they must know all of that, what they should and shouldn't do. You're talking about not having the staff to monitor it.
Yeah, it's all in the agreements. And then,
Yeah.
you know, for example, on Sain, they didn't do good tree protection. They undermined a bunch of tree roots. I took a bunch of pictures and I just said, hey, they're going to replace these trees. I don't care how they look. When the project's done, they're going to die eventually. They were fine. Now they're not. It doesn't matter if they put soil back. Like, they've cut all these roots. So, so as part of that, at the end of the project, they'll have to pass for those trees.
So how recent was that situation you're thinking? June of this year?
Yes, I was mad.
So a lot of things have not improved then.
Well, I mean, we'll get new trees. I don't know what to say.
Well, we all know that a new tree doesn't replace
I
a tree
know.
that's 6 years old or 30 years old.
Right.
Or older, so.
See, but and the thing is, I was just too busy planting trees. I should have been out there when they started to say like, hey, this tree protection's supposed to go up, but I didn't. It wasn't really, I had other priorities. And I really didn't think about it until I was driving by. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Bam, I need to go over there and look. And by then they'd already like ruined all
Well,
that.
maybe that's, is that a place that's some training? Is there anybody that can be trained to do some of that?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Without adding
Yeah.
staff?
Yeah, I mean, we can, yeah, but that's something that could be looked into.
And you get a good work order system going into
Yeah,
place too, you can throw it in there and whoever's available can handle it.
Right.
Yeah, it's just,
As
it
in,
all flows together.
well, that's what I was just thinking. If it's put in the work order system in February, like, hey, check these trees, and then we know to flag it, to do it in April or whatever, then it's not gonna get forgotten or brushed under the, yeah, exactly. So I think we can figure it out. We just need to kind of think it through.
Yeah,
Yes, I
That's-
agree.
Yeah.
I imagine through like code enforcement, you could train someone, but on the biology aspect, it's almost a special, it's a special area understanding tree biology. And is this going to be a significant impact on potential longevity or not?
And I didn't want to
That
suggest
actually-
anybody could take the place of a professional.
No,
Or,
no,
you know,
no, I wasn't taking that at all. I was just saying, yeah, there's some things that you could easily, educate a person to make assessments if, are they doing, is the barrier up? Is the barrier still up? Or is it not? And then if it's not, then, dispatching a person with the technical expertise to make the assessment. I did notice one thing in your current code makes reference to 3 feet, but also gives the discretion. They have to stay 3 feet or more away. But then the discretion to a person like Anna to say what is really actually needed for tree preservation, and really 3 feet is a structural distance. And really the 3 feet, it should be much larger with larger diameter things. It's really, you could think of it like an X factor, 3X. So for every foot in diameter, if it's a 1 foot diameter tree, then you should be 3 feet away. And that's just structural, that if you get closer, the potential of the tree failing from severing the root system on one side becomes greater and greater. So that was just another thing I noticed. I pointed out that you have the discretion. Go ahead.
So I have a question. So what we're talking about is all the responsibilities on the city to make sure that things are followed up. But are I just don't know like all the permits and inspections that are involved with building. But wouldn't it make more sense that when everything was ready for them to do the work and the barriers were up, that they would contact the city?
I mean, we can ask them to do that. I don't know.
Would that help giving our staff situation?
Well, for example, with the building going up across the street, we wanted to protect those oak trees. And when they were putting up the silt fence, I was like, hey, we are supposed to have a tree protection against those oak trees. And so, and it eventually happened, partly because it's so highly visible, but that was part of the plans. So the person inspecting, the engineer inspecting should see like, hey, there's no tree protection here, blah, 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 and that kind of happened, but it's also just a matter of paying attention. And yeah, I mean, you bring up a good question, who's it incumbent upon and I think it's probably pretty incumbent upon us to make sure that everything is happening.
You can't really put it on the contract.
I don't think you can.
It's gonna be pretty low down the list of what they're trying to accomplish, and so.
Yeah.
But they need to do it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean,
You mean it's not a priority for them, it is for us here,
Correct.
not for them.
Yes.
well, they're gonna do what's on the plan, right? So it's really incumbent on us to get it on the plan. That's the first thing, which we've actually had a lot more success with.
Yep, right.
So if it's on the plan, they'll do it, right? And,
Right.
And then if it's on the plan, they don't do it, it's like, well, like across the street, there's supposed to be a fence here. And they did it. And they put up a crummy fence. I'm like, hey, it's actually supposed to be more substantial. And so we got a decent fence. So, and some of it's baby steps, but we're getting there.
All right. Are we goal 4?
Yeah, and I went down to your code and my Word doc is glitching on me. All right, let's get back to goal 4. All right. And that's linking, the urban forest as a resource beneficial, is linking that with, or I should say maybe, we could use linkage or contributing to the knowledge of other, city environmental goals, whether it's stormwater or air pollution or heat, to look at the value of the tree population. But the other important part is, unfortunately, trees have disservices. And one of the things I've heard is the distance between the curb and the sidewalk is becoming smaller and smaller, which doesn't surprise me as you try to densify and have more units per unit area of land, more housing units, that, the potential for damaging curbs and sidewalks from trees becoming a liability. So addressing that as a policy statement. And the other part is, a bigger one as a disservice of trees is, just the damage to property from trees or tree parts that may fail, or hopefully it never happens, but just personal injury to death from a tree part failing from a public tree. And so having, a risk assessment where on a regular basis, trees are assessed for risk is so important. And then another part that fits into this is along with the community survey that Anna responded to, that there's not a linkage to emergency response. And if I understand this correctly, City of Fitchburg doesn't have an emergency management department or person. You coordinate with Dane County.
I believe so, right?
Or,
Like for dispatch and things of that nature?
oh, yeah, I mean, it would depend on what
It is.
individual thing would be, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so regardless whether coordinating at the city level or the county level is, you do have in place right now some agreements, for example, with neighboring communities, but really thinking about trees and storms and what's the worst that could happen. A storm exceeds your capacity. And so make sure that agreements are up to date. You have agreements with contractors. That doesn't commit you to anything, but it commits a contractor if a storm happens that they agree to respond within a certain period of time, and here's the prices that you got set up. So if a storm happens, you don't have to worry about, flying by and developing it. I did discover something interesting, which kind of having worked at the university, didn't necessarily surprise me. Authority, who has the authority to sign off on things. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard from one of the staff during the SWOT assessment was even signing off on a rental agreement, it has to, a staff member can't do that. It has to go to legal.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so
We can't really
that
say
even,
much.
and it was just something as simple as getting
Sign off on
a rental unit.
rentals.
Rental
Yeah,
of what?
equipment.
Yep.
How long does it take when you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because the concern of risk management, is there something in that contract that obligates the city? But so that even more obligates you to think ahead of time of getting whatever legal things need to be signed ahead of time, so you're not worried about, during a storm, how do you get a piece of rental equipment? So. And then goal 5, it's really, it's incumbent upon, it's way beyond the capacity of staff you have right now, but leveraging the community members for the urban forest in Fitchburg through either volunteerism, a formal framework or program. And then the other one is identifying areas below your tree canopy goal to take action. And the other one is maintain urban forestry outreach. You've got a website. And talking with Anna, I've said this before, I'm really impressed with what you do with the resources you have. It's a pretty up-to-date website on information that, you could probably argue that maybe there's a fact sheet on how to plant a tree, but, and I'll take another look at that and make some recommendations, but as you have some pretty relevant information, it's easy to find. It's a very well laid out website, but keep that going. And then the other thing is people like to memorialize their loved ones through memorial trees, is formalizing a process in the policy, and then putting that in place with maybe in your GIS, mapping it out. And I've shared with Anna, City Stevens Point actually developed, they're no different than you. They had issues with memorial trees, and they have a formalized program now along with the trees actually on the website. So they don't worry about plaques per se, which plaques get vandalized and they get missing. So it's just an effective way to make a program like that happen.
I have one question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
One question. This might fit into 5.3. We have a lot of private owners of woodlots in the city that may be interested in learning, or may not, I guess, have the knowledge specifically around like invasives of how to manage those, and like their ability to manage invasives affects our ability to manage invasives. And so just having something in there, I don't know if it's in the volunteer section or something in there about outreach of assisting existing woodlot owners of private land who want to manage it more actively, and kind of providing resources for them to do so would be helpful.
Is that something the purview of the DNR still of outreach technically on matters of woodlots?
Well, so this is an excellent point because it's absolutely true. And we do work in partnership with DNR, Dane County, and the university to put on like field days and stuff. But we could take it a step farther to really, make it a little bit more Fitchburg specific. And, it's not a bad idea at all. So I'm not 100% sure of the best way to do that or who like leads it, but I think at least putting in there that we continue to, or maybe, expand our cooperation with DNR and Extension and the university to do this is really important. And because to your point, when we had the field day at McGaw last, I think it was October, there were a lot of people there, it was full, but only a handful were from Fitchburg. Which is fine, and I'm not saying that's bad, but it would be nice if we had a little bit, we could, tailor that a little bit more towards landowners here. And DNR isn't gonna do that, we would have to do that. You know what I mean? So it would be, I think that's kind of what you're talking about, yeah. Cause so we do, I think, from a big picture, bring those resources in, but if we really wanna focus and really serve the small woodlot owners here, we're gonna have to do a little, they'll support us, but we need to do a little bit more of that ourselves. Did I kind of capture it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said DNR. I should have probably said Extension and the Master Woodland owner program.
A lot with that.
Yeah.
But they have to serve everyone.
Yeah,
They can't just do, they can do it here and we can try to encourage our folks to come,
correct.
but they can't just do Fitchburg. That would have to be us.
Yeah, and that'd be just tapping into that resource. Usually it's primarily set for rural landowners and not urban, but there's no reason it can't be like a master woodland stewardship program for, woodland owners of Dane County.
Right, yeah.
That's a great point.
Are you thinking like some of the areas along the bike paths and?
Well, there's a lot, even in the.
A lot of different locations.
So I'm thinking, I live right behind the church on Lacey and Richardson. They have, I don't know, 8 acres or something like that
right.
back there. And I know that they are interested and have like expressed interest in like better managing that, but I think there's a lot of just like, what is good, what is bad, and that's how I feel too, because my property connects to that, and so I have a tiny little piece of woods, but I walk back there and I'm like, I don't know what's good and what's bad back here, and so just like having even just that knowledge or that kind of assistance, and saying like, even just knowing like, here's, if you were to do 3 things, here's the 3 things that would best help you right now, or things like that, just like kind of getting kind of some base level knowledge to people who want it.
Yeah, or even some of our, larger condos and apartments that back up to, let's say, like, Yarmouth Greenway. There's a fair bit of woods there, and we're trying to manage Yarmouth Greenway, but if invasives are coming from, from the private property, it's difficult.
And then they understand the work the city is doing to maintain woodlots and trees.
Yeah, so, no, I think that's an excellent point. And I'm not sure 100% how it gets worked into this, but that is an excellent point.
Me either.
So,
that's Richard's job.
I don't know where it fits.
Well, I think we're at a spot where it's really kind of upon me is just to finalize the draft document. And like I said, tonight, tomorrow morning, I'll have it where I'm feel comfortable to send it out for to take a deeper dive review this, admissions, anything that you see that, boy, this would be something to put in here, whether a goal or objective, and then policy statement. Crazy little things like where should the parenthetical be? Thanks for pointing that out, because that was bugging me and I didn't change it. So thanks for forcing it. And just anything else in the plan.
Well, thank you, Rich. I really appreciate all your work on this.
Yes, thank you very much.
I wonder if it would be possible for me and maybe some of the other members of the committee to get a hard copy of this draft, because it'll be very hard for me to read 70
It's hard
pages,
on a screen.
to
Yeah.
read on a screen.
I can print it for you.
I would like that
That
too.
would be great.
Yeah, I can print it, that's no problem. I can print it for you.
Yeah. I'd offer you also to print it and send it down to you, Anna, whatever you want.
Oh, I can print it, that's no problem.
Will
And,
you mail it, or do you want us to pick it up here?
whichever, I mean,
Yeah,
whichever.
we could pick, I mean,
Yeah.
I could pick
Okay.
it up.
Well, I
Whatever
can
works,
see if you-
just let me know.
I come here periodically, so I could probably pick it up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to print it for you. And that's a different exercise, right? Like, at least for me, like reading on the screen is one thing, reading in the paper
It
is
is.
a
And you
little
can
different.
make comments on it
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
That's no
And
problem.
it's easier to look at it all at once.
Yeah,
You could just leave it at the counter, couldn't you? And then
absolutely,
pick it up.
or in the vestibule, yeah, no
Yeah,
problem,
and that's-
yeah.
Just
the
tell
counter,
us
yeah.
when it's ready and then,
Yeah.
Perfect.
we'll come.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you know who we're gonna refer this out to once it gets?
That's a good question. Parks for sure,
Yeah.
RCC maybe,
That would be good.
and I don't know who else. I mean, whoever else wants to see it, I don't know.
Well,
No, thank you.
yeah,
Committee.
I think the general public reviewing this is important. I don't see anything in here controversial except maybe goal 3. And I would say overall, the majority of people that live in the city of Fitchburg are supportive. But that goal number 3 is a sticky one.
Yeah, it can be.
What is goal 3?
It's about the woodlot management.
It's little.
Yeah.
But you all bring up good points on these. This is just not really the public urban forest. The private urban forest also is very important.
It is.
That woodlot management and providing technical assistance is important.
Absolutely. And trees grow differently when they're, a lot of them in one space, I would think.
Yeah, that's true, Linda.
They really support each other.
Well, excellent. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Rich?
I don't think so.
I think this is very exciting because this has been a goal of this committee since it became a thing.
Yeah.
And we're like as close as we've ever been.
I know.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, and you're also helping out the parks plan because that is one of their goals is to actually have a strategic urban forest management plan. So hopefully you get like a bonus from them for checking off one of their goals.
I think we will. I was one that made sure that was in there. So, yes.
Okay,
So I'll be sure and point
wonderful.
it to them.
Oh, one thing I didn't point in the plan here is I pulled out for your comprehensive plan, along with your parks plan, the relevant goals and action items, just because they go hand in hand. So rather than saying it's in another plan, I actually pulled it in as part of an appendix, A or B, I forget which one. So not that it's a really, deal breaker for a plan, but I think it's important if we're integrating is to pull in these other goals and objectives and action items from other plans. So, and they're just verbatim.
Excellent. Thank you for looking a little bit beyond our little scope here, because if we don't kind of work in concert with other things going on, it makes it much more difficult to get things done. So.
Yep.
All right.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you, I guess, in January, and if I don't see you before that, I appreciate in advance your review of this document,
Okay.
and have happy holidays with family.
Yeah, thank you, Rich.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time and attendance.
You bet. Enjoy the rest of it tonight.
Oh, we will.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I will share again. And, okay. Well, that's very exciting. Is it? No, is it not? There we go. Is it not? So then, yes, Anna Healy,
Yeah,
there we
just
go.
warming
Okay.
up. Yeah.
I was just like, I feel a little thwarted there because it tells me I'm sharing and I'm not. Okay, so we are on, report from department. So, Yeah, so report from department, there were some questions about the Kyle Seeger Greenway, and just to let everyone know that the folks involved with that did donate money to do another herbicide treatment and to burn, so that happened, and I processed that check and processed that invoice, so that's happened. My understanding is where they're at is they're finalizing a legal document between, my understanding is the Friends of the Kyle Seeger Greenway and the City of Fitchburg, and they're finalizing that memorandum of understanding. I believe it will come to you guys at some point, but where exactly that is, I'm not 100% sure. But that's the status of that, as far as I know. So, so that's one thing. And then someone else had another question about. Oh shoot. Oh, ash removals. Yeah, thank you. How could I forget? So. Yeah, so anyway, so this winter we have kind of this this ash removal project going on, and unfortunately in 2023, as we all know, it was super dry, and we treated a bunch of ash trees, and we tried to, we tried to water them a little bit, we tried to get them to move that chemical through, and we really didn't have the option just to pump more chemical through because, we only have so much budget. So we did end up with a lot of trees that we tried to treat in 2023 that are infested with emerald ash borer. We do have money to replace them, so that's the good thing. So this winter we are taking down, I think it's 114 or 115 or something like that, ash trees.
My God.
I know, it's a lot. I know, and they're all in the same spot. So a lot of them are in Linda's neighborhood. There's a few in near where some other people live. So it's kind of a, and I don't know what to say about it. It's kind of a sad story. We've done what we can, and then there is to be a point where it's like, well, what they need, we can't just keep putting more expensive chemical into them, into infinity. So unfortunately, we're losing a lot of ash trees this winter. We are taking, we're starting to take them down now. We may contract some of those removals as well, just to ease up on our guys because they've got a lot of things to do, like plow snow. So anyway, so that's one thing that's happening. So if you see a bunch of trees coming down, more than likely it's ash, and we will get all of them replaced.
When you treated them in 23 and 24, had they been treated before? Or?
They had, but some of them I think were infested before we started treating them. And then when the trees were really stressed and weren't transpiring like they needed to be, I think and we've had great emerald ash borer years. For one thing, there's tons of beetles in the environment. There's all kinds of private trees, and some of our trees probably too, that are pumping out thousands of beetles. So there's just tons of beetles in the environment. We're probably at peak beetle flight. And we've just had really stressful conditions for trees in terms of winter drought, winter temperature spikes, dry summers. Like it's just been and that's really great for the beetle and really bad for our trees. And we've had these extended growing seasons. I mean, we didn't get a frost till when? October? Or something? I don't even know when we got a hard frost. But the beetles grow that whole time. I mean, they're limited by temperature, right? So they're just going. And, they're slowing down now because it's cold. But so we've had really great beetle weather is kind of how I put it, right? It's been great beetle weather, and there's only so much we can do for our trees, so we are unfortunately losing ash trees. But the upshot is we do have money from take closure to replace them all, so that's a positive thing. But
people have a lot of questions, and so we want to let them know that the why of it.
Yeah.
Do people have the ability to request a type of tree to?
If they want to, sure, yeah. So I'll send them the urban tree guide so they can kind of see what different options are. If it's gonna fit for the space, sure. I mean, like we're open to that, and we try to do it. It doesn't always 100% work out. I have to tell you kind of a funny story of how I met Linda. She requested a ginkgo. It was an ash replacement actually, and so it's funny now. Anyway, it was an ash replacement. She requested a ginkgo. I thought we had this ginkgo all set for her. And it turns out the contractor, and I was pretty new at the time, the contractor planted a block like her address with the next block. So the tree got, yes! So the tree, and then she came back the next year, she's like, I'm just really, and you were very nice, I'm just really wondering when I made my ginkgo. And I'm like, I thought we planted the tree. So I get in my truck, I ran out there, there's no ginkgo at your address, and then a block up, I'm like, oh my God, he smashed it by their mailbox. I was just like, holy crap.
So you walk down the block to gaze at the ginkgo?
Well, I can now, it's the one on the corner, right?
Yes, yeah, it's in a dumb spot. It's in a completely stupid spot. I'm like, oh goodness. I was just like, that, I'm like, well, there's Lone Street. So we did give you, we did finally get our ginkgo, but I was just like, and you were super nice, but you were like, I was so confused. I'm like, I seriously think that we planted, and I didn't, like, I was just thinking to myself, like, I am either going crazy or I'm not sure.
That was your first year.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
so I had
fun.
started the conversation with Ed about some other things, and then, that was-
Yeah, yes, so anyway, so long story longer, we really try. Sometimes it doesn't work out like we plan exactly. But, man, that was an interesting spring. But long story longer, yes, if people have an idea what they want, we're definitely open to that.
Okay.
So, and one thing I've said to people is that, I think you had kind of described it this way, the kind of the situation, you can spend $400 to treat the tree or $400 to replace the tree. Eventually the tree will die. So it's not going to survive. And we're lucky enough to have the money now to replace
Right,
it. So,
right. We're very lucky, yeah.
we can't wait.
Yeah. And really, if we had upped the chemical, if we had either treated them again or upped that chemical, we probably could have quote unquote saved them, but it was a one time, that it would be, we'd have to repeat that, forever. So at any rate, so that's what's going on with ash trees. If send anyone my way who has any questions or needs any information.
Yeah, well, are you?
Yeah,
Finish.
Okay, and I'm happy to talk to them, and if they have a specific thing they'd like to get their tree replaced with, we're open to making our best effort to make that happen.
Okay. I have a question about your last point.
Oh, sure, what is that?
When you get requests for service from people, from residents, are those for trees on their land?
Sometimes, and I refer them to the Wisconsin Arbors Association.
Okay, so you don't deal with any.
Well, very minimally, very minimally. The one that some of the ash trees that we end up having to deal with are the ones in people's backyards, and Mike is familiar with this, I'm sure, that are falling apart and that may or may not be a hazard to someone else. And then we have to go through this whole hazard tree situation, which I work with building inspection on, and then it has to get deemed a public nuisance, and then, then we tell them you have 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or whatever, and it ends up being kind of sometimes a bigger deal than you would think.
Okay.
But anyway, so we do have to deal with private trees in that way, but we're not, I'm not running out and consulting. Sometimes I'll tell people yes, it's an ash tree, yes, it's dying, yes, you need to take it down.
Yeah, okay. So in this point, you're referring to people's concerns about street trees?
Mostly.
Mostly? Okay.
Mostly. There are some private trees that sneak in there.
Okay.
And it's just how it goes.
Okay.
And to be honest, I feel bad for people. Taking those trees down is really expensive, especially if it's in the backyard and there's a garage and a fence and.
Rain in there.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. I empathize, but if it's gonna fall in the neighbor's house, you gotta do something.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, my neighbor has a declining ash tree in the front yard, and I've talked to them, and they're just not, I wanna go down there and just cut it down, but
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
I wanted to know a little bit more about Noel Woods. What kind of projects?
They want to clear out invasives. I need to get back to them. There's a group of folks who want to work in there, and I need to work a little bit, because similar to your point, they
Is
don't.
Jeremy still around and doing that?
No,
Has
he's
he
not.
moved away?
I don't know.
But he's not working it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
He did that for a long time.
He did. He
Like
really
10 years or something.
Yeah, he did a great job. Yeah, he did. I really miss him.
So it's not like you don't ever get finished, huh? It's just like a forever project?
Well, yeah.
It's like weeding.
Right, it is, yeah, management, you gotta do it, right, maintenance management, but they wanna take out invasives and things of that nature. They just don't really have a lot of, similar to what you were saying before, they don't really know how to identify what's what, this sort of thing, so they just need a little bit more direction. I need to get out there and actually help them a little bit more, and I just haven't been able to figure out a date to do that when they're available, so it's just a matter of.
And who are they, or where are they from? Do they live near there, or?
I'm not sure where they all live, but they must, because they walk there, as far as I know. So yeah, so it's great to have people interested to manage their local parks. It just becomes a time crunch to really support them in a way that's really meaningful to them and makes a bigger effort to the city, if that makes sense. All right. Should we move to announcements?
Yeah, if no one has anything else to say about the report from department
Craig, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Is he even there?
Maybe not. Okay.
Oh,
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So announcements, so couple things. So first of all, so from a budget perspective, now forestry has its own budget. We're not longer because we're not part of parks. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, because before when the forestry budget was part of parks, I think it was easy to overlook how small it is. So now that it's by itself, it'll be interesting to see, I'm like, this will be interesting if this catches anyone's attention. So I feel like that's sort of noteworthy, but we'll see. So our 26 budget is just forestry. It isn't like parks, forestry, and recreation. It's which is interesting.
So physically, have you all moved?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the Parks Department is no more. So yeah. The other announcement, so our meeting schedule will start, our first meeting is scheduled right now for the 12th of January. And then we're still the second Thursday moving forward, and we have 8 meetings a year. And I will send this all to you in an email, but it's gonna be January, February, March, April, May, and then I think we take June off, or did we wanna take, it's really, so I have the June meeting in there for now, but I was gonna ask you guys, do we usually take June off, or is it July?
July.
July?
The website says July and August.
Okay,
We take off July, August, November, and December.
okay,
I think we
But
shifted those.
we can do whatever we want.
right.
It's dependent on what
Depending on
projects are going
that
on.
I don't
too.
think we're meeting on the 12th of January,
We
is
are.
a Monday.
Oh, well, then I must have it wrong. That must
If
be,
you want the second Thursday, it's the 8th.
okay, then it's the 8th. I apologize. What am I'm trying to do something, why do I think I can do that? Okay. I overestimate my abilities. So at any rate, thank you, Sue. It is not,
Yeah.
it is not the 12th, it's the 8th. At any rate, long story longer, I'll email that to you, but do you guys, I guess, and you don't have to tell me now, you can just email me back if we wanna take off July, then it's July, August, November, December, is that right?
That's what's on that's what
Website.
the official
So if
schedule
we have
is,
8
yeah.
meetings, then those the 4 months that we said we wouldn't do.
Right. So I'll send out the meeting schedule so everyone's got it, and then if there's something that you can think of why we should, because we changed, for example, because of this plan, we changed our meeting schedule this year.
Right.
So, if there's a compelling reason to change it, let me know, we can do that. We just have to do it ahead of time, so the room isn't booked and FACTv has the ability to tape us. So, anyway, that's the long story longer on the announcements.
okay, if that is, we've gone through our agenda items, does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
No, I
we adjourn?
just think we should, I'll second.
All
Should just
in
sit here all
favor
night.
of adjourning?
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. We're adjourning the meeting at 5:29.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, Craig.
Bye.
Thank you.